Welcome to On Texas Football. Our next guest, or the guest that I've been wanting to talk to for quite some time, was the leader of the team that had the best team before the 2023 squad, and that is a man that really needs no introduction to Texas fans, and that's Colt McCoy. Colt, hope you're doing well. Hope your family's doing well, and welcome into the show.
Thank you. Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, no problem, man. So you've had the season off. You've been able to watch a little Texas football along the way. I was going to ask you, what do you think of Quinn Ewers and his development and Sark's development on offense here this year?
Yeah, that's a layup right there, Bobby. I mean, I think they've done an awesome job, right? I think it's just a little bit of a maturation process by Quinn. You watch him last year, and then you see the growth. Having a year under your belt, some experience, and I feel like Sark and he are on the same page, and Quinn's very accurate. Done a great job leading the offense this year, and I feel like this team is peaking around the right time, and it's fun to watch, and I'm excited for the Sugar Bowl like everybody else.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You mentioned peaking at the right time. I remember when you guys used to put it on people pretty good and beat them pretty bad. This Texas team hadn't really done that this year until late in the process, right? With beating Texas Tech really, really badly, and then really dominating the Big 12 championship game. Is that just something that happens with teams, in your opinion, when they're peaking, or what do you think that was all about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with who you're playing, the competition, injuries. I think what separated this team from last year's team is just the fact that they figured out how to win, some close games. And whether or not they should have been close or not, that's really not the question. It's more, they figured out how to close them out and how to hold a lead, right? Didn't do great at times, but then all of a sudden things start clicking and the ball starts bouncing your way. And I really felt like ever since we went up to Iowa State, we've been playing really, really good football, and I just hope it continues.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And what do you think of this Texas defense? That's been a big change in the last couple of years as well. Byron Murphy, Tavondre Sweat, those big guys up front seem to really have done a great job this year.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the biggest difference, just watching games from afar by me, is just the interior play, right? Offensive line, defensive line. They're winning their matchups, drive to drive, series to series, play to play. Like they're dominant up front, and they're giving Quinn a lot of time and protection. Our running game has been outstanding, even since Brooks went out, right? And on the defensive side of the ball, they're stopping the rush. So I feel very confident that that's going to continue when we play Washington. It's just, we got to show up and play well and be firing on all cylinders, and I think we'll be just fine.
Gotcha. I got to ask you a couple questions here. You said some nice things, really, on the Greg McElroy show I heard the other day about Arch Manning. To tell people what your thoughts are on the young quarterback out of New Orleans and what you've seen thus far.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a fan just like everybody else.
Yep.
I think I've got to know Arch a little bit. I think redshirting is a really good thing. I didn't want a red shirt when I came into UT, but also knew I wasn't near as good as Vince Young, right? And I knew there was a lot of things that I needed to work on. I think for Arch, he came in, a lot more mature than I was, a lot more physically and mentally ready to play. But I think that this year will be very beneficial for him down the road. And I know he's capitalized on it. I know he's worked really hard, and now he's ultimately in the position to be the number 2 guy. If something happens to Quinn, like he's ultimately got to come in and play. I think just the state of Texas football is in good hands. From the quarterback position, whether Quinn stays or whether he goes. Arch is fantastic, and I think like everybody else, we're all excited, for him to take over at some point. In saying that, like there's a lot that goes into a red shirt year, right? Learning the system. I think his situation has kind of been similar to mine when I came in, right? My first years, we went 13-0 and won a national championship, and I had a front row seat to that. And I worked hard. I put on a lot of weight. You learn the offense, the scheme, the philosophy, right? Like just you pour everything you got into that, and then you got a chance to take over. And I think Arch is very much so in the same position.
Speaking with Colt McCoy, Longhorn, former Longhorn quarterback, a Longhorn legend, long-term pro football quarterback as well. Colt, people around Texas absolutely think of you as one of their own. Tell folks what you're doing this year for Christmas and what you got the family doing and all that sort of stuff.
Oh man, it's been a unique year. I first year I played 14 years in the NFL. This is the first year I've not really played a bunch, and it's honestly been a blessing. I'm still kind of nursing my elbow, not sure if it's ever going to get right or not, but I count my blessings every day, and it's been a great fall with my family, and starting to look into other things, potentially businesses and opportunities. Like who knows what the Lord has in store, but I'm grateful for, all that I've got to do and the amount of games I've got to play, and excited that I get to go see the Sugar Bowl. And, family is doing awesome. Going to have a little Christmas with them, which, the last 2 years I've played on Christmas Day. So I'm excited about that. My kids are at a fun age, and all is well, man.
So are you doing a broadcast as part of the Sugar Bowl? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm still figuring it out. I'm going to do the ESPN2 broadcast of the game. I can't tell you what that looks like. I'm still going through production meetings and figuring that out, but I'm just excited I get to be there.
Yeah, you're going to root the Longhorns on. Hey, I want to go back to what you talked about and the team figuring it out and putting it together and that sort of stuff. You mentioned that, and I want to get your take on Steve Sarkisian and the job he's done at Texas. And that first year, very tough, 5-7. But you know what? He stuck with Pete Kwiatkowski as his defense coordinator. Then he goes 8-5, gets Quinn in the fold and some other players. And then this past year, adding Adonai Mitchell and some others, Quinn growing another year. What do you think of the job Steve Sarkisian's done overall?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. First of all, he's always been an awesome offensive mind, right? Like I played in the NFL when he was coaching in the NFL, and they were always top 10 offenses, right? He knows how to call plays. He knows how to design plays. His scheme is great. He creates mismatches all over the field. And, a second year in the system with Quinn, you knew it was going to be a good year, or had the potential to be a good year. I think there's a lot of weapons that at his disposal, right? A really, really good tight end, 2 good receivers on the outside, and a room full of running backs that are all pretty elite. And then you add the fact that all those young offensive linemen are, got an extra year under their belts, and they've all stayed healthy. There's a lot there. And I think, everybody talks about culture, right? I think that's a natural product of your coaching staff and consistency and, understanding how to put the right players in positions to be successful. And honestly, that takes time, right? I think that's one thing that is hard to get at University of Texas is, time to create your vision and what you want to do. And I'm glad that, this has come so quickly, and we're in a position to do something really special. And, the expectations at UT are always really, really high. And I get it. The pressures are always going to be there. So I'm glad that they've put it all together. I think this team has really grown a bunch throughout the season. And they certainly know what's at stake, and I'm just as excited as they are, I think.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Colt, a lot of people are remembering the last time Texas was in the national playoff consideration, et cetera, and obviously that goes back to you and the guys like Quan Cosby and Jordan Shipley and that crew that were on that team, Lamar Houston and Sergio. I mean, all those guys, right? Do you keep in contact with any of those guys still and try to catch up with them every so often?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, those guys that we all played with in college are all, a lot of them played in the NFL. A lot of them have moved on, but, there's still a lot of contact throughout the years. I think everybody's, really excited about, the college football playoff, the first time Texas has been in it. And so there's a lot of excited former players, right now. And I think had the college football playoff been around, I'm pretty confident that we would have been in it in 08 and 09, right? You never know what happens. So it's a cool format. I'm glad we made the Final Four, and just like all of us, like I think it's a good matchup with Washington. But I think for Texas, you certainly got to feel good about where you're at, just based off how you've played the last month, right? Like, again, they're peaking at the right time. They're healthy and should be fun.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think Quinn Ewers is taking that next step too. He looked much more comfortable the last couple games than he did maybe right after he came back from his injury, at TCU. Just all around good stuff. Well, Colt, I got to tell you, thank you for everything you've done for the University of Texas, the way you've represented Texas, not only during your time on the 40 acres, but since then. And we wish, from Longhorn Nation, we wish you and yours nothing but the best of a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season, buddy.
Yeah, same to you guys. All Longhorns fans, Merry Christmas, God bless, and we'll see you guys in New Orleans.